Let me know when you're ready. Okay.
Ms. Bowman may have a statement to make about a filing on the record.
Thank you. I just wanted to
Good morning, everyone. This is the time and place noticed for hearing in the matter of the application of Rocky Mountain Power to implement programs authorized by the Sustainable Transportation and Energy Plan Act. It's Commission Docket 16-035-36. My name is Michael Hammer, and I'm the Commission's designated presiding officer for this hearing. With that, let's go ahead and take appearances, please.
Good morning, Mr. Hammer. Daniel Solander appearing on behalf of Rocky Mountain Power. And I have with me at the council table the company's three witnesses who will be presenting in this docket: Ian Hogue, Rohit Nair, and Rob Stewart.
Good morning. Patricia E. Schmidt with the Attorney General's Office on behalf of the Utah Division of Public Utilities.
prepared statement. Thank you.
And in your opinion, Mr. Hoag, are these projects prudent and in the interest of the company's customers?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Hoag is available for cross-examination or questions from the commission.
Ms. Schmidt,
No questions?
Mr. Snar,
No questions.
and Ms. Bowman, UC, as I understand, is an intervener in this docket, and unless the party objects and wants to discuss it, I think you probably have the right to ask cross-examination questions if you'd like.
Thank you, I appreciate that, no questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hoag.
Thank you.
Please call your next witness, Mr. Solander.
Thank you. Rocky Mountain Power would like to call Mr. Rob Stewart as its second witness.
Mr. Stewart, do you swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning. Would you please state and spell your name for the record?
My name, excuse me, F. Robert Stewart, F-R-O-B-E-R-T-S-T-E-W-A-R-T.
What is your business address?
It's 4171 West Lake Park Boulevard, Salt Lake City, Utah, 84120.
By whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I'm employed by Pacific Core as a tariff consultant.
And as a tariff consultant, did you help prepare the company's application and reply comments regarding the commercial line extension program?
Yes.
And are you adopting the company's application and comments regarding the commercial line extension project as your testimony today?
Yes.
Do you have any corrections or additions that you'd like to make to either of those?
No.
And have you prepared a summary of your testimony?
Yes, I have.
Please proceed.
My testimony is to address the company's proposal to raise the minimum incentive for the non-residential developers as contained in Regulation Number 13, the Commercial Line Extension Pilot Program, from $50,000 to $250,000. The purpose...
I'm sorry.
Oh.
What's the problem? I'm sorry, everyone. Let's take a short recess. 10 minutes. Thank you, Sherry. Let's go back on the record. Mr. Stewart, I'm sorry. Please remind us where you were in your testimony.
Rob, would you mind just restarting from the beginning of your summary? I don't think you were very far into it.
No, I wasn't. I was on the summary, yes. My testimony is to address the company's proposal to raise the maximum incentive for non-residential developers from $50,000 to $250,000 as given in Regulation Number 13. The purpose of the incentive, as stated in Regulation Number 13, is twofold. One, reduce the developer's costs within developments for which they are requesting installation of primary backbone facilities, and two, promote the use of electric vehicles by facilitating installation of electric vehicle charging stations. This regulation became effective on May 24th of 2017. In the little over year and a half since that time, the participation in the program has been less than anticipated. If, by increasing the upper limit, larger developers who are not currently participating are incentivized to participate, the goals of the Commercial Line Extension Pilot Program will be more fully met. The benefits of the program remain the same regardless of the size of the development, and based on the company's experience and calculations, it is unlikely that one developer or project could monopolize all or even most of the STEP incentive funds, even with the proposed higher limit. The Office of Consumer Services proposes, along with an increase in the upper limit, that the company provide additional details in the company's annual STEP report. The company does not object to the office's proposal. This concludes my summary.
Thank you. Mr. Stewart is available for cross-examination or questions from the commission.
Ms. Schmidt?
No questions?
Of course.
No questions at this time.
Ms. Bowman?
No questions.
All right. And I don't have any either, Mr. Stewart. Thank you very much. Mr. Solander?
Thank you. Rocky Mountain Power will call Mr. Rohit Nair as its final witness.
Good morning, sir. And since we've lost our court reporter, will you please spell your name for the record?
Rohit Nair, R-O-H-I-T-N-A-I-R.
Thank you very much. And you swear to tell the truth today?
Yes.
Thank you.
Since that's already on the record, what is your business address, Mr. Nair?
1407 West North Temple, Suite 290, Salt Lake City, Utah 84116.
By whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I'm employed by Rocky Mountain Power for over 7 years as a senior engineer in the Engineering Standards and Technical Support Department, supporting both the company's Rocky Mountain Power and Pacific Power divisions. In my current role, I'm the technical support lead for all the projects approved under the STEP Utah Innovative Technologies Program.
And have you ever testified before the Public Service Commission before?
No, this is my first time testifying.
Since this is your first time testifying, can you please describe your professional experience and background?
I received a Bachelor's of Science degree in Electrical Engineering from University of Pune, India, a Master's of Science degree in Electrical Engineering from Oklahoma State University, a Master's in Business Administration from Sullivan University, Kentucky, and I'm a registered professional engineer in the state of Arizona. I am also currently the Secretary of IEEE Renewable Technology Subcommittee and an active member of multiple IEEE and NERC working groups that focuses on developing national standards and policies on renewable energy systems.
Would you please briefly introduce the topic you're going to be discussing today?
Today I'll be discussing the company's request seeking additional funding of $1.75 million for the solar and energy storage technology project under the STEP Utah Innovative Technologies Program.
In your role as the lead technical support for this program, Did you participate in helping to draft the company's application and reply comments in this portion of the docket?
Yes.
And are you adopting those reply comments as your testimony in this proceeding?
Yes.
And have you prepared a summary of your testimony that you would like to share with the commission?
Yes.
Please proceed.
On September 12, 2016, the company filed an application requesting STEP funding to install a solar and energy storage technology project in the state of Utah. The approved funding request of $7 million included $5 million from STEP funds and $2 million from Blue Sky Community Funds. This request was approved under the Phase 1 order published on December 29, 2016. Since then, the company has completed its due diligence process to identify a vendor that can provide engineer, procure, construct services and ensure timely delivery of this project. During this process, the company realized that the initial costs were underestimated and thereby require additional funds to ensure installation of this project. For this reason, the company submitted a filing on November 13, 2018, requesting an additional $1.75 million for this project. The intent of this project was and still remains to help the company develop better understanding of innovative technologies, in addition to correcting voltage issues experienced by the company's system under peak loading condition. With this project, the company anticipates key learning outcomes regarding the design, commissioning, operation, and maintenance of this new technology. The Commission's approval for the company's request seeking an additional $1.75 million will enable us to install the company's first ever combined utility-scale solar and energy storage project in the state of Utah. Due to increasing lead times of battery systems, denial or delays of the company's request for additional funds will cause the company to cancel this project. The company believes the additional funding request is reasonable and just, considering its benefits to the company and, more importantly, its customers. The project will ensure better service quality to our customers and allow the company to continue to build a more progressive grid, which is in the best interest of all our customers. Thank you for your time, allowing me to discuss my testimony today.
Thank you. Mr. Nair is available for cross-examination or questions from the commission.
Ms. Schmidt?
No questions?
Mr. Snar?
No questions.
Ms. Bowman?
No questions.
I just have one, Mr. Nair. You mentioned that the project would be canceled if the request for additional funding were not granted. Do you have an idea of what the sunk cost would be if that were to occur?
The cost spent until December 31st, 2018 is $407,470.
That's precise. I have nothing else. Thank you, Mr. Nair.
Thank you. I'd ask that Mr. Nair be excused.
Your excuse.
And that concludes the company's direct case.
Ms. Schmidt?
Thank you. The division would like to call its witness, Mr. Robert Davis.
Mr. Davis, do you swear to tell the truth?
Good morning.
It's on.
Could you please state your full name, employer, and title for the record?
My name is Robert A. Davis. I'm a utility analyst for the Division of Public Utilities.
In connection with your employment at the division, did you prepare and cause to be filed the division's comments filed on January 3rd, 2019?
Yes,
Do you have any changes or corrections to those comments?
I do not.
Do you adopt those comments as your testimony today?
Yes,
Do you have a summary to provide?
yes, I do.
Please proceed.
Good morning. In this proceeding, Rocky Mountain Power requests the Commission's approval of its application to 1, modify funding for the woody waste and cryogenic carbon capture projects with remaining funds from the abandoned Advanced NOx project. 2, approve a significantly higher commercial line extension incentive from $50,000 to $250,000. And 3, increase the funding for the solar plus storage project. Excuse me. The division has concerns that Rocky Mountain Power's vendor may not be able to produce 2,000 pounds of woody waste material for the demonstration to take place in the second quarter of 2019. The division sees potential value in additional data being collected as a result of more sensors and longer burn time as proposed. The division concludes Rocky Mountain Power's request to reallocate $748,980 from the abandoned advanced NOx project to the woody waste project is in the public interest. Therefore, the division recommends the Commission approve Rocky Mountain Power's request for additional funding to the woody waste project. Since the Commission's approval of the cryogenic carbon capture project's design in Phase 2 of this docket, Sustainable Energy Solutions revised the base project. It now includes 3 tasks requiring additional funding to modify the current skid platform. The division does not have the expertise to fully evaluate these changes, but concludes the project may lead to a lower cost solution in the reduction of carbon pollution. Future funding for the cryogenic carbon capture project will be secured by Sustainable Energy Solutions through multiple sources, and Rocky Mountain Power will not provide any additional funding for the project. The division concludes Rocky Mountain Power's request to reallocate $412,521 from the abandoned advanced NOx project to the cryogenic carbon capture project is in the public interest. These 2 projects total $1,161,501 of the remaining $1,245,465 reallocated from the abandoned advanced NOx project, leaving $83,964 of unallocated funds. The division recommends the Commission direct Rocky Mountain Power to note these unallocated funds in its next and subsequent annual STEP reports unless it seeks Commission approval to use the funds for another clean coal program. Rocky Mountain Power's second request for Commission approval is to increase the commercial line extension incentive level. Rocky Mountain Power requests an incentive level increase from $50,000 to $250,000, a 5-time increase. Rocky Mountain Power claims the higher incentive is necessary to attract larger developers and projects. Projects costing $1,250,000 or more would qualify for the proposed incentive under Regulation Number 13. $1,250,000 multiplied by the 20% equals the $250,000 incentive. The proposed incentive level greatly limits how many projects might be awarded. Rocky Mountain Power's responses to the division's data requests for an explanation of the 5-time incentive increase did not convince the division that the increase is in the public interest, and its application contained no real justification. The intent of the program is to make incentive funds available for developers to build infrastructure that would not require additional assets at a later date as a result of expansion, and to provide charging infrastructure for electric vehicles. The incentive reduces costs to developers for any size project. However, Rocky Mountain Power's sole justification for the proposed change seems to be that it will be easier to spend the money with a larger incentive. More evidence of the current incentive's inadequacy is warranted before quintupling the amount of the incentive. Based on the lack of initial support for the incentive increase in its application and further lack of support through data request responses, it does not appear that the proposed incentive level increased is warranted or needed at this time. Therefore, the division recommends the Commission reject Rocky Mountain Power's request to change the commercial line extension incentive level and Regulation Number 13 at this time. Finally, Rocky Mountain Power requests the Commission approve a $1.75 million increase to the Solar Plus Storage project. The premise of the STEP Program Act is to provide a utility funding to research innovative projects that may lead to efficient uses of the current system and find new technologies that are in the public interest. The Solar Plus Storage project is such a project. The Solar Plus Storage project may fulfill several purposes. First, it could alleviate a voltage issue on a current radial feeder in rural Utah. Second, it is likely to provide valuable training and data to Rocky Mountain Power personnel on the potential benefits of storage technologies. Finally, any excess energy generated from the project will be used to offset EBA charges to all Utah customers. The voltage issues on the radial feeder in question can be resolved by standard practices of enlarging the poles and wires using the same amount of funds or other alternatives at likely higher costs. This proposal likely alleviates that issue while providing additional insight. The division is concerned with the $8.75 million cost of this project and the ensuing operating, maintenance, administrative, and general OMAG expenses over the next 16 years. However, the Commission's Phase 1 order requires OMAG expenses to be included in the STEP budget and accounted for in the annual STEP reports. Therefore, the division concludes the solar plus storage project remains in the public interest and recommends the Commission approve Rocky Mountain Power's request to increase the budget to $8.75 million. Thank you.
Mr. Davis is now available for questions from the Commission and cross-examination questions from the parties.
Mr. Solander?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Snar?
No questions?
Ms. Bowman?
No questions.
And I don't have any, Mr. Davis. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Schmidt, any other witnesses?
No, the division has no further witnesses.
Mr. Snar?
Yes, the office has two witnesses that would like to present. We'd like to first call Mr. Bela Vostog as witness.
Mr. Vostog, do you swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Could you please state your name and identify who you represent for the record?
Yeah, my name is Bela Vostog. I'm a utility analyst for the Office of Consumer Services.
Thank you. And in connection with this particular proceeding, did you participate in the preparation of comments that were filed on behalf of the Office of Consumer Services?
Yes, I have.
And it's correct that you were primarily responsible for the portion of those comments that relate to the solar and energy storage program?
That's correct.
And the comments that were filed on January 3rd of this year, is that correct?
Yes.
And just for identification for the record, those comments that you were primarily responsible for appear on, commencing on page 6 and end on page 10 of that document, is that correct?
Yes.
And do you adopt those comments as it relates to the storage and energy storage program as your testimony here today?
Yes.
Are there any additions or corrections or explanations you'd like to offer since the filing of those comments?
None.
Do you have a prepared summary of these comments you'd like to present today?
Yes, I do.
Please proceed.
As Mr. Snar stated, my summary only addresses the solar and energy storage project. Office witness Cheryl Murray will address the clean coal technology and the commercial line extension projects. The company is requesting that the Commission approve $1,750,000 of additional funding for the solar and energy storage project. The company's revised cost estimates for the solar and energy storage project include major cost increases for the following components. For project development, an increase of $645,000 or 129% from the original estimate. For battery capital cost, an increase of $1,676,000 or a 44% increase. And finally, for operations, maintenance, administrative, and general, or OMAG costs, an increase of $2,431,000 or an increase of 542%. The office does believe that the solar and energy project, energy storage project is an important research project. But before we can support the use of ratepayer funds for the requested large increase in costs, parties should be provided detailed financial information documenting the drivers for these cost increases. The company's November 13th, 2018 application was lacking in detail. Through the discovery process, the office requested a detailed reconciliation between the initial cost and the revised cost for the solar and energy storage project. The company's initial data responses and supplemental data request responses provided some additional information, but this information was not significantly more helpful in explaining the cost increases than what was provided in its November 13, 2018 application. Even considering all the information provided in DRs and in the company's January 17, 2019 reply comments, the office still cannot determine if the increase in costs are in the public interest. Therefore, the office recommends that the commission require the company provide additional information and justification regarding the cost increases for the solar and energy storage project and decline to approve these increases at this time. We also recommend that the commission affirm its requirement that all OMAG costs associated with the STEP solar and energy storage project be included and deducted from the project's budget, and require that the company update this current application with this information. That concludes my summary.
Mr. Fastog is available for cross-examination.
Mr. Ms. Schmidt?
No questions?
Ms. Bowman?
No questions.
Mr. Vostog, I wonder, and this might be a question better directed to your counsel, so feel free to defer to him if you like, but do you have any specific recommendations as to the process the commission should undertake if it were to agree with you?
I'm not that versed in the process the commission requires, but I would think simply just ordering the company to provide some detailed financial information comparing the components of each part of the project with its original estimate, so that parties can understand, what's driving the cost increase, and that the funds will be prudently spent.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vostog.
I think Mr. Vostog has explained what information is necessary, and if that were to be focused on or ordered by the commission, an opportunity for further examination by the parties and even public comment would be an appropriate kind of procedural step linked to what Mr. Vostog has summarized.
Thank you. Before I excuse you, let's ensure that Mr. Solander has nothing else.
Would it be possible for you to explain what additional financial information exactly it is that you'd be looking for in such a supplemental report?
Essentially, we need more detailed information. What's been provided is very high level. For example, the OMAG costs have gone up from, I can't remember the original amount, around $35,000 to $180,000 a year. So essentially a detailed listing of the components so that we can understand what is involved in those expenses. And the same for the battery component, which has gone up considerably. It's confusing because we see in the industry literature that solar battery costs have declined considerably. So before we can before the office can agree with the increases, we would just like to understand where the cost increases are.
In your testimony, you referenced the first supplemental data request, I believe it was number 21. Did the office also receive a second supplemental data request?
And a third. Wait a minute, a second supplemental. Yeah, we received a copy of the financial model that's used to develop the net present value. And that only contained high-level costs, also didn't have the detail that I could ascertain, the detail that we were looking for to see, what components of the individual costs were the drivers for the increase.
Okay, and the office doesn't dispute the company's statements regarding the necessity to cancel this program if there are any further delays or delays in this process.
No, we have no reason to dispute that. We think this, this additional information could be provided quickly, since the company has the information, obviously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vostok. Mr. Starr, you have another witness?
Yes, we'd like to call Ms. Cheryl Murray as a witness.
Ms. Murray, do you swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
Could you please state your name and indicate by whom you're employed?
My name is Cheryl Murray. I am employed by the Office of Consumer Services as a utility analyst.
And is it correct that you participated in the preparation of comments that were filed on behalf of the Office of Consumer Services on January 3rd of this year?
Yes.
And except for the portions of those comments that have been adopted by Mr. Vostok, were you responsible for the comments overall and the rest of the representations there?
Yes, I was.
You adopt those comments as your testimony in this proceeding?
Yes, I do.
Have you prepared a summary of your testimony, the office's position?
Yes.
Could you present that, please?
Yes. My summary addresses the clean coal technologies and the commercial line extension pilot program portions of the company's application. The company has requested to reallocate NOx project funding to fund increases for previously authorized clean coal technology projects, specifically $748,980 to expand the co-firing test of the Woody Waste co-firing project, and $412,521 to expand the scope of the cryogenic carbon capture technology project. As stated in our January 3, 2019 comments, the office recommends that the Commission approve the company's application to increase funding for those clean coal technology projects. The company also requested approval to increase the incentive level for the commercial line extension pilot program from $50,000 to $250,000, asserting that there has been low participation in the program and increasing the incentive will allow larger projects to be developed. I want to clarify that in our January 3, 2019 comments, contrary to Mr. Stewart's representation, the office did not recommend approval of the company's request to increase the incentive level for the commercial line extension program, and that we share the concerns expressed by the division in its comments. However, if the Commission does approve the company's request, we reiterate our recommendation that additional reporting requirements as specified in our January 3 comments be required, to which the company has agreed. That concludes my summary.
Ms. Murray is available for cross-examination.
Mr. Solano? Ms. Schmidt?
No questions?
Ms. Bowman?
No questions.
And I don't have any. Thank you, Ms. Murray.
Thank you.
Mr. Snar, anything else?
Nothing else from the office?
Ms. Bowman, is there anything you'd like to present today?
I have a summary of my comments that I'd be happy to present.
Is there any objection to Ms. Bowman presenting those?
No objection.
No objection.
Do you swear to tell the truth, Ms. Bowman?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to provide a brief summary of comments provided by Utah Clean Energy this morning. My name is Kate Bowman, and I'm here on behalf of Utah Clean Energy. And my comments address the Solar and Storage Technology Program and the Commercial Line Extension Program portions of the company's application. First, Utah Clean Energy continues to support the Solar and Storage Technology Project and recommends that the Commission approve the requested increase in funding. It's valuable for the company to gain experience operating solar and storage to meet grid needs, and also to be able to provide information to stakeholders about the benefits of the project relative to its costs. However, Utah Clean Energy also recommends that the company be required to provide additional detail about project costs, equipment, and system components in future STEP reports. We also recommend that the Commission require more detailed information about project costs and components when considering approval of future storage or generation and storage programs. Second, while Utah Clean Energy supports the expansion of electric vehicle charging infrastructure, the company's filing has not provided sufficient justification to demonstrate why an increase to the commercial line extension pilot program cap will result in improved or increased electric vehicle charging infrastructure. To date, no project has reached the $50,000 existing incentive cap, so it's not apparent why an increase in the cap would result in improved usage of the incentive. We recommend no changes to the program until the company provides more detailed information about projects that have been awarded an incentive thus far and more information about existing barriers that currently prevent utilization of the incentive at its current levels. Thank you for your time. That concludes my summary.
Thank you. Mr. Solander, any questions? No questions. Ms. Schmidt?
No questions?
Mr. Shaw?
No questions, thank you.
And I don't have any. Thank you, Ms. Bowman.
Thank you.
Is there anything else before we adjourn? All right. Thank you, everyone. We're adjourned.
Thank you.